Good evening, folks. My name is Bill Smith, and tonight you are tuned into another episode of News in 5. Tonight I'm sitting here with the Prime Minister of Israel, Mr. Levi Eshkol. How are you, Mr. Eshkol?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good. Tonight's episode is about the war that had just occurred in the Middle East between the nations of Israel, Egypt, Syria, and Jordan. But before we get into that, I want to show you guys a clip that just occurred 1 week ago. I actually was in the Jordan desert with General Zaim Shakar, and here's a clip. This is Bill Smith. Today is June 4th, 1967. Today I'm located in the Jordan desert off the West Bank with General Zaid ibn Shakar. Okay. Today, he's going to talk to me about the tensions arising in the Middle East. So, what is your opinion on Israel?
In my opinion, Israel does not exist.
Does not exist. Can you give me a reason why you think that?
The land does not belong to them. It belongs to the people of Palestine. It's their land.
Okay. Israel's attempted peace. What is your opinion on that?
There will be no peace.
No peace, even though they've, tried to avoid these uneasy tensions?
We will wipe Israel off the map.
Okay. Your armed forces, I've gotten some inside information. You have 55,000 men, 300 tanks, and only 24 planes. That doesn't concern you at all?
No.
Can you tell me why that doesn't concern you?
The Arab coalition has combined 500,000 men, 1,000 tanks, 900 aircraft.
Okay, and Israel's numbers don't compare to that?
No.
Okay. So, what if there's going to be a war up ahead? What do you think your predictions for it will be?
Total obliteration of Israel.
Well, you heard it from the general himself. This is Bill Smith, signing off. And that was just 1 week ago. Your country was fighting a war, and 6 days later you're here. So before we move on, I wanted to read you some quotes.
The president of Egypt said, "We shall not enter Palestine with its soil covered in sand. We shall enter with its soil saturated in blood." The Syrian president said, "We want a full-scale popular war of liberation to destroy the Zionist enemy." And the chairman of Jordan said, "Those who survive will remain in Palestine. I estimate none of them will survive."
So those were some extremely competent statements. Were you ever intimidated by those predictions and accusations?
Intimidated, no. We were very aware of the damage that our opponent could infiltrate on our land, and we knew we must take them seriously. But we also knew if we believed in ourselves and kept a clear mind that we would be able to defeat them.
And you were a great believer in peace before the war actually started.
That is correct. We firmly believe that this issue could be resolved without the loss of life.
I'd like to read one of your quotes, actually on May 12th, 1967.
In the view of the 14 incidents of sabotage and infiltration perpetrated in the last month alone, Israel may have no other choice but to adopt suitable countermeasures against the focal points of sabotage. Israel will continue to take action to prevent any and all attempts to perpetrate sabotage within her territory. There will be no immunity for any state which aids or abets such acts.
So even after the war had ended today, you're still a great believer that peace could have been negotiated.
Yes, we believe that these conflicts could have been resolved without the use of violence. Absolutely.
Well, as we know that peace obviously couldn't be negotiated and that war was unavoidable. We also know that there were three nations that teamed up against you. Egypt, Syria, and Jordan combined to create a strong force to try to defeat you. What was your strategy to try to stand up to such a force?
Well, we knew we were outnumbered in soldiers, and so we decided that a surprise attack would definitely work in our advantage. So at the beginning of the war, we launched a surprise attack using our Air Force against Egypt.
I also heard that there were some miscommunications.
Correct. After we flew into Egypt, we were able to destroy most of their Air Force, who was actually unexpected of the attack, leaving only approximately 40 planes. And while our planes were flying back to Israel, Egypt reported to the forces in Jordan that they had an astounding victory against us, and that those were Egyptian planes flying back to Egypt. And the Jordanians assumed that they would be getting support from these Egyptian planes. So the Jordanians therefore pushed further while expecting support from the Air Force, and unfortunately for them, those were our planes. So at that point, we were able to take our planes and support our troops on the ground there fighting the Jordan front.
So do you believe that this was the only reason for your success?
No, absolutely not. We believe that we would have been able to defeat the Arab forces with or without this miscommunication.
Okay, now that the war is over, I'd like to read some statistics. There were 983 Israelis dead, but that number is minuscule compared to 19,700 Arabs dead. Also, only 15 of your soldiers were captured compared to 5,238 Arabs captured. Those are remarkable statistics, but as we know, a loss of a life is still a loss of a life. So what are you going to do to keep moving forward away from conflict and towards peace?
Well, during the war, we were able to capture the entire Sinai Peninsula, and that was a land that previously belonged to Egypt. And through negotiations, we have decided that we will give that land back to them in return for peace, and knowing that we will not be going to war with them anymore, knowing that border will be secure.
Oh, that's pretty generous.
Yes, but it was an offer that was necessary to ensure that we will not have to fight the same war again.
Well, that's all we got then, Prime Minister.
Thank you.
Folks, you just watched another episode of News in 5. I'm your host, Bill Smith. Hope you have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.